Welcome to tonight's webinar with Foreclosures Daily. And I'm your host tonight, Nancy Wallace-Laabs. I'm so excited. I'm in the Dallas, Texas area. And Foreclosures Daily is all about connecting buyers with motivated sellers. And they've been around since 2004. So Joe, that means that you all have passed. It's 2025. So did you have a 20-year celebration? I think you should. So who is foreclosuresdaily.com? Well, they're a nationwide lead provider. They provide leads to investors, realtors, attorneys, and just your basic first-time buyer. They've been in business since 2004, and they've been the internet's #1 destination for the most detailed and timely information. Now, I can say that because I've actually been using their leads since 2018, and I used other companies prior, and I will say that I used companies that they said that they were probate and pre-probate. I specialize in pre-probate, and they didn't have real estate attached to them. So, that's kind of frustrating when you pay for leads and then you're calling people and they have guns and they have coins and they have all, old furniture, but they didn't have any real estate. So Foreclosures Daily, I started with them in 2018 and I've never looked back. So a little bit about me as your host. I'm a licensed real estate broker here in Texas. I've written a book called Winning Deals and Heal. It did hit the best-selling. I've spoken all over the US at different conferences and things for real estate investors, and I do specialize in marketing and landing deals through pre-probate leads to find off-market properties. My daughter, my lovely daughter there, Kelsey Lake, and I, we founded Money Making Mamas, where we empower busy moms to create financial stability while finding time for themselves. So basically, we help moms, we empower them, whether they're doing a side hustle. We focus on real estate investing. And we did that because my daughter, after she had her second child, she had a corporate job, and she said, hey, she didn't want to go back into the 9-to-5 grind. So she jumped into real estate investing, and from there it just took off. And I specifically have a passion to help other people build wealth and achieve financial freedom through real estate investing. And I just want to make a little shout out here because we just launched a podcast, and Al's got a big podcast. He's been doing it for years and years. And so we just launched our podcast in January. So you can follow us on YouTube, Money Making Mamas, and then Instagram at Nancy Wallace-Laabs. So follow and keep up with us there. So enough about me. Let's get back to foreclosuresdaily.com. So how are they different? Well, I just said that they have real estate attached, and I can attest that I have tried other companies and they don't have real estate attached. So don't waste your money. The leads, the pre-probate leads I get them every Wednesday. They're fresh leads. I'm able to market them right away. So they're delivered right to my inbox. And depending on the type of leads that you're getting, you can get them daily, weekly, or monthly. There's property values from the appraisers for the data types that they use. Most companies out there do quarterly, and they're not farm for real estate. And they understand the importance of having fresh data that has real estate. So what are the types of leads? You're probably just dying if you're not a customer. So they have probate and pre-probate, absentee owners, divorce, distressed, code violations, evictions, inheritance, auctions, tax lates, lease pins. I always get that wrong. So, and cash buyers. And the cool thing about Al tonight is that he specializes in a lot of these getting them to the closing table. So one of the other things with Foreclosures Daily is if you do not know how to market, they've got all kinds of tools to help you market the leads. So there's a company, Go Big Printing, and you can do postcards, you can do handwritten letters. I've done it over the years. I've done a combination. Here's like what it's not an actual handwritten letter. It's like a font that they do, but it looks a little more professional. So if you're a real estate and you're looking for listings, then you might want to go this route. And then of course this is very nice. This is called Marketing by Hand, and these are and I've used them as well. So they have very nice handwritten note cards. So the main thing about your leads is you want to be able to get them open. So being a customer of and a client of foreclosuresdaily.com, you have access to all of this. So, and you also get, and I always like to show this. So I got this book, And so it's still relevant today. So you'll receive a copy of Kevin Sales' book, Probate Real Estate 101 for real estate agents and investors. And he also has webinars that you'll have access to. So now for the main event, yay! So tonight we are joined by Al Nicoletti. So Al, I didn't say your last name, so hopefully I said that correctly. So he's a Florida probate attorney extraordinaire. And what he told me he does is he's got a very unique structure. If you're an investor and you're trying to get a probate deal done, he offers where he doesn't get paid until closing. How cool is that? So the person that you're buying the house from doesn't have that cost up front. So he focuses on probate, quiet title, partition, trust. I mean, he's going to talk about all this stuff tonight. So he also has a weekly podcast. I went and found him on LinkedIn. His podcast has all kinds of good stuff in it. You know what, Al? I couldn't do a better justice to you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to let you share. I'm going to make you a panelist here. So give me a minute. It's going to take me a hot minute to, get all the, what I want to say. Oh, I don't want to share another screen. It's wanting me to share another screen. So first we're going to stop the share and then I have to go in. Al, stand by. Okay, Al is being promoted as we speak, and I'm going to go ahead and let him share his screen. Al, yay, there you are.
I'm
Hi,
here. Hello.
welcome back. So did I do you justice? Because you have so many good things to talk about tonight for the listeners.
Of course, Nancy. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's exactly what we went over, and I think that the biggest thing that a lot of investors, especially if you're doing deals in Florida, because that's my area, what we do is we will wait until the closing to get paid, and that just helps everybody on their deals, right? Because you're not having to come out of pocket, or the seller's having to come out of pocket, which always is ending up as the problem to why these deals aren't getting done, why the probates aren't getting done. So, yeah, keep going, Nancy, and then we'll dive in.
Okay, so Al, I'm going to let you go ahead and share your screen, and you can go ahead and start presenting on everything. Talk about how you even ended up focusing on this. And, it sounds like you're a really good problem solver for investors if they want to get that. They want to get, because pre-probate and going through probate court can be very messy. And what I always say to people is that it's also, I mean, you're dealing with people who lost somebody. So usually there's a lot of emotions that go into that. So as an investor, we're about the numbers and we have to remember that we're dealing with people who usually they lost a loved one. So especially on the pre-probate leads, because I know for me, when I get those leads, the person passed away like maybe last week. So it's not like you can just call them up or, send them a card and say, hey, I want to buy your property. So you have to have a little empathy when you're working with these people. So just kind of walk us through your unique structure and how you work with investors.
Yeah, do you want me to get started with the presentation or
Yep,
just
go
oh,
ahead. Yes,
okay,
yes.
yeah. What a story that would be to talk about how I really got into this niche, but just as a prelude to the presentation, Nancy, I when I first got into it, I had only heard about it from a friend and who told me that this was going to be a huge niche to tap into and it's just starting and there's a unique structure to this. And when I was able to really comb through records, I was able to comb through the data, I realized that there was a massive opportunity to take a hold of this. And I went from doing, what was it, I think in 2019, like 30 probates to 150. And I think last year we did somewhere from 2 to 400 probates. So there's a huge curve in what we've been able to see, and I've seen a lot of different things. So we'll get started so everybody can dive
Just
in on.
dive into it.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for being on. I see so many people that are on tonight. Welcome, and I'm so honored to be back on the Foreclosures Daily webinar. I think this is my fourth or fifth time, and I'm grateful for the team, and I'm grateful for everybody that hops on. My name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney in Florida. My biggest thing is probate. I love talking about probate because it really is the gateway to all the messy title, and it is one of the most unique niches in real estate in that you get amazing stories, amazing deals. It's possible to get over and get through. It's just you got to have the right people, the right team, and understand just enough about the process. And I just want to make it simple for everybody tonight. Not here to talk like a lawyer. I go to a lot of presentations. I don't like talking like a lawyer. I want to talk like you all. So, for starters, you got my email on the bottom. That's my email address and my phone number. We're really good by email. And this is our QR code. You definitely want to scan this so you save it. If you're in the Florida market, this is big. This is going to be very handy. On the right-hand side, you got my social media. I'm all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. You want to subscribe, like, and add me there, especially on YouTube. You're going to find so much content on the shorts, on our long form content, and it's not even about the subscribe for me. For me, it's just the education for everybody. I want people to get educated on it. When you come across this and you don't know what's going on, we've probably done a video on it, and I'm sure you can imagine I got a list of more videos that need to come. I think I looked at recently, there's 80 more videos that we need to make on this. So there's a lot more content. And as Nancy was saying, I have a live show, a live podcast. It's the Al Nicoletti Show. Find us on Spotify and iTunes. We talk about everything from land, wholesaling, fix and flips, Airbnbs, shopping centers, stuff that's really relevant and give you real tips on how you can tackle these deals every day. Now, as I said, I'm a Florida attorney. I've been doing this now for more than 7 years. I've done my practice is at least 95% probate. I'll talk about a little bit of the stuff at the end that we handle. And I looked at the numbers actually recently. We've done over 1,000 probates.
Mm.
Uh, this year, the last year was a lot. And we've seen things from simple to really complicated. I've seen things from a one heir probate to we got one right now where it's 8 probates. We did one over the summer. It was 8 probates, one property of a partial interest. They couldn't sell the property without going through that. So we've seen things from easy to complicated and how to maneuver through it. It ends up being really crazy sometimes, but these are good deals if the money's there. And we're going to talk about how you can crush the probate real estate market this year, 2025, and beyond, really. We're going to get into some of these secrets. The one thing that I think people need to understand with probate is that if you're ever looking to actually find probate deals, you're looking for the distressed property, right? Anything that's a term for distress, a pre-foreclosure, a tax delinquency, it's going up for auction, a code violation. So many of these lead sources with Foreclosures Daily, you got tons of distressed opportunity. Anything like that, that signals that it's going to be a potential probate deal. Now, are all of those going to be probate? No, but there's going to be a good percentage that are going to be probate. Why? Somebody forgot to pay, they can't pay, or they're dead. And so when you have that situation, and other states are different, Texas is different, North Carolina is different, but when you got that kind of stuff happening in Florida, there's a probate that's going to be needed, and we need to do a whole analysis. It could be anything from land. We're seeing a lot of land deals, a lot of things going on in Marion, Lee County, Charlotte County, a lot of single families still going on in Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, a lot of hot market areas that you can focus on. But the point for you is that this is a limitless opportunity. This niche is just starting out, and we're looking at the next 20 to 30 years as being this massive wave, huge wave. I used to put the wave out here for my presentations, the silver tsunami. But this is a huge opportunity. And this this chart, which say it all, is this is only going to keep increasing. The amount of baby boomer owned properties in the United States is only going up. And we're really early on, right? We're really right here. I mean, look how much more we have to go, and there's going to be so many more properties to pick up. And that's a lot of the reason, Nancy, I got into this niche is because I knew that if I got into this, I would say I'm going to be invested in this for the next 20 to 30 years. This is not going to be a short sale market where it's hot right now and next year it's cold. Like I knew that there was going to be sustainability behind this, and that's why I chose this. I knew it was going to happen, and it's still happening. It's only growing. And the amount of properties that just remain out there is massive. Back in 2019, well, actually, it was even sooner than that. Back in 2017, I remember when I was really at the early owl stage of figuring this out. I remember having combed through property records, all this kind of data that's out there. And the amount of data that shows these potential pre-probates, probates, all the foreclosure stuff, huge. And I'm not even talking about other states. Like just in certain counties in Florida alone, thousands. It's a huge untapped niche. I mean, there's on the rotation of it, there's thousands every day. Like in one grouping, there's so many. So there's so many different probates that are going to keep on coming, and the opportunities are there. This is just an example. This was a stat that was provided to me that shows the probate filings. These are probate filings that have been happening for the last 10 years. And you can see, does anybody see it dipping down? Maybe like one area that kind of looks flat, but it's dipping down a little bit. But the trajectory is up. It's going up, up, up. So a lot of these are happening more and more as we keep going. I don't expect that to slow down. Now, if we're talking about the simple side of things with probate, a lot of people hear probate, a lot of people have heard the word, or maybe they've worked on cases and they've just thought, oh, this is going to be a nightmare. It's just crazy. It can be a very simple process if you make it simple and you just let it be another real estate deal. That's really what it is. It's another real estate deal, but you have this one process that you have to go through, and once you go through it, then you get the green light, right? Once the judge signs off, if the judge signs off, then you got the green light and you move forward to the closing. So understanding the breakdown of how this actually starts would help people understand, because you probably call people and they say, hey, I got the will, and you start going with the will. It's like, whoa, you got to back up, right? You can't even get to the will until you know what the title is, because it all starts with the title. So, first of all, you don't even have to read any books on this. You don't have to read anything online, look anything up. You want to make this an easy process for yourself. Connect with the experts that understand this process, right? So if you're in another state, let's just pick Georgia, and you're in your local RIA and you're talking to people and you're saying, "Hey, who's the one attorney that I should go to that understands the probate process?" Find time to meet with that person so you understand what's going on. How does it work? What's the process? What's going on? Take that time. Those are the people that you want to connect with, the experts on it, because you don't need to be the expert. You need to find the right expert. And I think a lot of people get hung up on that. They think that they got to know this whole process and talk to the sellers about all this. You don't. You need to be able to be resourceful and have the team around you. And you don't need to know all the technical aspects. Now, I put this up here because I've done a lot of presentations. I know a lot of people want to know about timing, and I just want to throw it out there. A lot of people think that probate ends up taking 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months, and then they don't want to do it. Like the preconceived notion is that it takes that long. We've been able to do probates in a matter of weeks, sometimes 1 week, sometimes it's been 4 weeks. And people are like, wait, what? How are you getting that done? We just did one. I just got court orders today on a probate that we filed last week, and we got the court orders today that could sell the property. And so, is it like that every time? No, but in the majority, these are really efficient processes. Every county's going to be different. Every county's got a different speed with their processing. So one county's not going to be the same as the other. But these are fast records, right? For getting probates done. And I show this to you because if you think that probate took forever and you're like, I don't want to do it anymore, well, hey, now you know that actually it doesn't take that long. And as long as you're communicating with your buyers, or if you're the buyer, now you know what to expect in the process. And I wait until the closing for attorney's fees, which is huge. It's a huge selling point for a lot of the sellers because they don't want to pay the money. And I know a lot of investors don't either. So, the root source, where does this all begin? This all begins with the title to the property. We got to start there. You can't depend on just reading what the tax record says, just reading what the property appraiser says. What does the title say? What does the deed say? What's the chain say? What does the title company say? Because in order to identify if a probate's going to be needed, that's where it starts, the title, the deed. And so when you have somebody on the title that died, you're going to need probate. And sometimes it's multiple people. If multiple people are on there and two of them are dead, depends on the language. What's the language of the deed, right? Sometimes it could say nothing. Sometimes it can have magic language. Well, all of this starts with the title to the property. And if you have somebody there on a basic level, if there's somebody there, they died, you got to do probate. We have one right now. There's four people on title and two people have died. And now we got to do a probate, and we've done the analysis. It's one person to another, and from that person down to two. And that's it. It's actually not that complicated. But we got to do probate in Florida. And what it is the transfer of title. We're moving it from the person that owned the property to who the heirs are. And so what we're doing in the process is we're filling out paperwork. Probate's the paperwork in the courthouse. We're putting together the name, the address, the heirs. That's what all of us do as lawyers. We're putting all this paperwork together and then we're sending it to the heirs. They're sending it back and we are filing it and we're getting the ball rolling. And once we get the court orders signed by the judge, we then take the court orders and we provide it to the title company. They update their commitment so then they can give you either the green light to close or something that comes down that they need more on. So we need to do this in Florida. You're not getting around it. Some states, like Nancy was talking about, and Texas is different. North Carolina could be a little different. But at the end of the day, it's title insurance. Florida wants it, and title insurance requires it. And it can really make or break your deal if you don't get the right information on this. You gotta know what's going on the title end. Now, sometimes you get situations, well, usually most of the time, you get situations where somebody's on the title and there's no magic language. So, what I mean about no magic language, there's no trust, there's no rights of survivorship, there's no ladybird deed, right? You have just plain old Bob and Sue. And so when you have that, you run into these tenants in common issues, or a common one that people are mind blown on this. I had a call yesterday. They bought the property 3 years ago. It was daughter and father. Daughter owned 50%, father owned the other 50%. He died, no magic language. She's thinking, oh, it all goes to the wife. Not so fast, because in Florida there's homestead and there's kids. So homestead law in Florida says if there's a surviving spouse and kids, it's surviving spouse and kids. So of that portion, it's the spouse and the kids and the daughter on the other side. So a lot of people can't believe that they think, oh, the husband's on, so the wife automatically gets it. If it's husband and wife, and husband dies, goes to wife. But a lot of people don't know that kind of stuff. And so these are the kind of things you're looking for. Again, you don't have to analyze it yourself, but those are the identifiers. And you got to do probate when you see people on title that are deceased and you got no magic language. So we put this here so that people understand the line of succession. So when you get probates, you got to find out, number one, in this situation of this, let's just say it's John Smith. For John Smith, did John, when you're talking to the family, did John Smith have a will or no will? You got to start there because the will directs where things go if there is one. And if there's no will, the state of Florida has statutes that create one for you. So if there's a will, where is it? We can dive in on that. Where is it? Who has it? Where's the original ink will? I use very specific words when I do probate. If there's no will, this is the line of succession. In Florida, we always start with the spouse, any surviving spouse. If there's none, we go down to children. Ever, ever. I've had so many stories of people that are like, why does he say ever? Because it matters. Because if you have four kids and one of those kids died before the title owner, the next question is, how many kids did that person have? And if they had three, they come into the picture. And then if you have one of those kids that died after the title owner, okay, then we got to do a probate for that one as well. So all these words matter in these questions. And I'm not saying this as the lawyer. I'm saying this as these are some great questions to ask, even if you're having an appointment with the family to talk about this. So at least you're not in the dark. I get it. A lot of people get the answer of they're the only one, they're the only one. And then they talk to me, and then I find out there's 10. So let's just say there's no kids ever. Then we go to parents alive at the time of death. I have a case right now. Mom's still alive. Dad pre-deceased. So we're only focused on mom. So you know, these are the questions. Or brothers, sisters, ever. And we've had cases where there's been 13 cousins, 13 nieces, nephews. And so we get those cases. And then sometimes we drop down to aunts, uncles, and cousins. We had one case recently where there were like 14 aunts and uncles. All of them died before the title owner. They all had like 20 kids. And then of the 20, all of them died before the title owner, and two were alive. Crazy, but there was a lot of due diligence that went behind that. So this is just a line to follow when you ever get these. And if there's a will and you find out somebody's got a will, you got to know where's the will, who it says who gets what, may go to multiple people, maybe it leaves it to a trust. But that's why, like, if there's a will, what does it say? Because it will give you the clues to the next step of, oh, well, leaving it to a revocable trust, where's the trust? We can't be left in the dark on that because that's gonna matter. And if it's a copy of a will, in Florida at least, it's presumed to be revoked and destroyed. That's why I really harp on where's the original ink will, not the PDF version that somebody sends in an email. Where's the actual physical one that they're holding in their hands? And I have to get very specific like that sometimes. If there's no will, we just went through the line of succession and Florida creates it. I call it the probate Macarena. I can't do it, on the screen, but I have like a whole thing where I can do it in front of everybody. I actually had the Jacksonville Real Estate Association, Investor Association stand up and actually do the whole thing. And it helps you remember what to look for. So if you don't pick up anything during this whole thing, just learn the probate Macarena and then think about the whole line of succession and it'll help you. So sometimes you may pick up a deal and you find out probate's already done and you're like, "Oh, I can't get out because it's already done." Sometimes you're looking for certain orders. This is just to give you an idea of what you could be looking for: an order of homestead, an order of summary administration, order authorizing sale. Many times you may pick up a deal, it's already in probate. This is what you could be looking for. Um, of course, a lot of people want to know where do I need to go? Like Foreclosures Daily, what's so great is they have counties all over Florida to buy. You can get different counties in Florida. And so if you know what county you want to go to, great. I mean that's a no-brainer. In probate, there's definitely hot counties that are just hot off the press. Tons of opportunity. So just to point out a few that I've seen, a lot of land happening in Marion right now. I see a lot of land and stuff going on in Volusia. You see some properties happening over here. A lot of land in Lee, Charlotte, Lehigh, always popular in these areas. Of course, the Tri-County in Florida is going to always have a lot of stuff, but very saturated. But we've always seen a lot of single families. Pasco's been popping. Polka's has been here and there. Polka was really hot like a year or two ago, but still good. And then Panhandle as well. Panhandle's been really good. Escambia, Santa Rosa. We've seen some things happening there. And of course, this area, Duval, Clay, St. John's. A lot of builds, a lot of people still moving into this area. So just to give you an idea, like you can go wherever you want. I mean, I recently picked up a probate in Lafayette County. I didn't even know Lafayette was a county in Florida until recently. So there's opportunities all over in Gainesville, I'm sure as well. So just know you can't really miss. You just got to really run your numbers. You got to really find out if you can get buyers over there, or if you're the buyer, you're interested in keeping the property. And some of the top lead sources for probate, I can't stress it enough. You number one, you got Foreclosures Daily to go to if you want to get those paid ads, the paid leads, perfect. Pre-foreclosures, pre-probates, tax delinquencies, code violations, vacant homes, so much opportunity. Pre-probate, what the unique thing with pre-probate that a lot of people don't realize is the pre-probate ones are the ones before it hits probate. So before any, it's a lot less competition. Of course, the probate ones you can get, there's opportunities there. You just will have more people going after them. But the tax delinquencies, the code violations, the vacant homes, all these are ways to find leads, ways to get probate data. That's the key right there. Um, and if you know, whenever you get these, a lot of people find single family homes. If you get the ones where it was the primary residence, you need all these people under contract. So if you have a property, person owned the property, they died, there's no will, no surviving spouse, 5 kids ever, you need all 5 to sign the contract. All of them. All 5 have to sign, all participations needed because everybody's going to need to move forward on this. And I've never seen it. I still to this day, I'd love to see it. I have not seen a probate real estate contract. So if you find a probate real estate contract, let's see it. At the end of the day, you need all the heirs to sign. Title insurance is definitely going to need this as well. And the bonus for you all is don't make it complicated. Give yourself some time. I've seen investors say, so what do you think, 30-day close? Let's forget about the 30-day close on a probate. Like, give it time. Why don't you put 60 to 120 days? Otherwise, you're going to be chasing for addendums. And unless somebody loves chasing for addendums, and you can drop a comment if you love chasing addendums, nobody loves chasing for addendums. So give yourself some time. Let the probate process go through. Have that really good rapport and communication with the attorney on what to expect. And I'm really transparent with that. If I think we got to do formal notice to creditors, if I think we got to do formal notice to an heir or a creditor files a claim, we always talk about it. So, leave yourself some time on this stuff. And the title commitment from the title company, one of the biggest documents I'm a huge proponent about, the title commitment. It gives the bottom line. So great example of why I love the title commitment. Just saw a file come through the law firm yesterday, and the title to the property, it showed it was in the name of the deceased person. So it was requiring probate. But okay, that's the low hanging fruit. But what everybody didn't know was the chain of title was so messed up. They thought, oh, we just got to do probate. But if you read the title commitment, it said that it needed a quit claim deed from this person. It needed a quit claim deed from this person. It needed a quit claim deed from this person. So what does that mean? It's not just a probate. Now you got all these other messy things. And that's why I love title commitments because it takes the guessing out of everything. It gives you bottom line. I'm a straight shooter, bottom line guy. I want to know what's going on. That's why I love it. And a lot of these deeds, some of them are messed up. Some of them are self-prepared deeds. How many people have seen self-prepared deeds done by a previous owner or the person that tried to convey it? It gets messy. We've seen a lot of different things, and you got to be careful with what's going on. If you ever get a contract or a deal where somebody's saying, "Hey, I can sign on their behalf. I'm the power of attorney," make sure you actually get a copy of the power of attorney. Make sure you bring it to the title company, show the title company, make sure that the title company approves that because title companies, insurance companies, they're really picky about the power of attorney. It's a very powerful document. And they have to be the ones that approve that for a real estate transaction because if not, you got a whole different ball game on your hands. And if that doesn't get approved, you need to look at what's next. And if it does, great. But this is something that's very important. Don't just think that somebody says, "Oh, I'm the power of attorney. I can be the one." You need to see these documents, actually know what's going on. Just a quick thing on minors. This has been a little popular on some deals we've seen, at least in Florida. If the natural born parent is around, if and it so let me start with this. Person died, John Smith dies, has no surviving spouse, he has two kids, and both are minors. The first question is, okay, they're both minors. Where's the mom? Okay. If you can find the natural born parent and the net proceeds to the minor are under 15,000, then there's a way to try to avoid the guardianship because the guardianship's a whole other thing we can't even get into. In the event that the assets are over 15,000, you're going to need a guardianship. Or if you can't find the parent, natural born parent, you could be in a completely different situation. The bottom line is just know that there's some maneuvering with the minors and understanding if a guardianship's needed or not needed, but those kind of things have to be analyzed when you're getting in these deals. And it's a great opportunity to get in probate because look, huge opportunity with spreads. These deals can be easy to solve. You got so many experts to tap into. You got to work with the right title companies. And these are stories. I could tell stories. What I need to do is go through my folders one day and do videos just on stories and talk about some of these things because that would be a whole thing. And the idea is that there's a speed and efficiency process to this, and that's why we're really good with our process on this. Those are my times. I wait until closing. And just a couple other things. Maybe you find a scenario where it's in probate, but there's an auction. Just know that there may foreclosure auction. Just know there might be a way to try to cancel the auction and buy time. I know a lot of people find those deals where, oh, the auction's 2 weeks away. I don't think we have time to close, and it needs a probate. Why not just look at it real quick? Let's see what's going on. Let's see what we can look at. Those have been possible. It's not 100%, but there's a good shot and depends on the county you're in. But there's deals out there that people leave on the table because they think that it's not possible to do some of this stuff. Here are some case studies, just really quickly before Nancy and I get into Q&A. Just want to show that it's possible. I mean, there's people that pick up deals. They need multiple probates. They're doing their reach outs. They're getting their lead sources. And these probates are getting done in a matter of weeks. This one investor, she found this deal around Christmas. She snatched it up and she got it for 80 and she assigned it out for $100,000 at a $180,000 price. I mean, it was one of her biggest deals. It might have been her biggest deal. But the story behind it of these people, they hadn't talked in years, years. And she didn't know that. She was just focused on the deal and she knew I'd handle the probate. And the fact that we were able to put these pieces together on a huge parcel was massive. It was just a huge deal. Another one where everybody was so focused on the probate, but there was somebody else on the title. They didn't even think about who this person was. They were just probate, probate, probate. Well, the probate wasn't hard. Probate was just two heirs. The question was, where was this random person that was still alive? And they had to track them down, find them. But we were able to do this probate. And again, I'm showing you different counties in Florida, not just one county. We were able to do this in 8 weeks. Well, it didn't take that long. And there are investors out there that are taking the data, leveraging it, calling, building a team, and actually doing these deals. And again, they're not knowing the whole process, but they're leveraging it. They're coming to us. They're figuring out what do we do next on this process. Another deal, these heirs couldn't get rid of the property fast enough. And this investor snatched it up and assigned it for 120,000. And we were able to do this probate in Miami in 6 weeks. Miami, 6 weeks.
Hmm.
Double foreclosures we've had. We've had wild multifamily zone land where four other attorneys couldn't find it. Nancy, crazy story with that. A lawyer's office, they they couldn't figure it out. And then the heirs were even skeptical at us figuring it out. And we sure did. It needed six probates, But between the probates and the contract, they were able to get an end buyer for 200,000 and made a great deal. I showed this slide just so everybody knows. I showed this slide at a multifamily conference, and it was like a 10-minute presentation, but this is the one I showed. And everybody had their phones up, and you could just hear oohing and eyeing until the end of the room, because people know that if this is happening out there, these are big opportunities. I couldn't believe we saw a citrus grove too. I mean, to think that we'd see a citrus grove in Central Florida, it was an assignment of over 100,000. It was three probates. It really didn't take that long. We got the cooperation of five heirs. All five were ready to go, and we did it in 5 weeks. The title company or somebody had told the investor, "Hey, go to quiet, do quiet title, quiet title." I was like, no, the last thing you want to think about right now is quiet title. Let's think about the probate. And I was glad they listened to me, because when they did that, this is the result. And they were actually able to get it done way faster, way more efficiently than a quiet title process. And look, quiet title has its own thing, and that's its own planet. But probate, that's my thing. I love going after that. That's big. We've had ones where one heir, but he just had questions, just questions about the creditors. We were able to talk about this stuff, and the investors on this deal, they were able to make so much money from this. They were able to hire two acquisitions on their team, and they were able to build out their process. And so there's so many stories behind this that people have bought properties on. It's worked, and they've done it, and it's probate. Probate ends up being some of the biggest deals. Sure, are this going to happen every time? No. Some deals they've had is 5 grand, 10 grand. But there's people out there that are like, well, we're making 50 on this. We're making 30 on this. You tell me, would you take 30? I'm sure a lot of people would on here. We've had ones where heirs were missing, couldn't find them, found. And so when you leverage and find the right people and the right experts that can help you track down heirs, they found them in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. We were able to get this done in 3 weeks. It was a one heir. He knew about the property. He just moved across the planet, literally. And they found him, and they were able to turn it into an Airbnb. And I think they flipped it actually this year. So you may find those situations where there's no air, but there's air somewhere. You got to leverage and tap into resources on people who can help find and track and locate, because there's airs somewhere. And it's all about the data. You got to take the data, you got to leverage the data, you got to plug it in, you got to build your system out, you got to hire the right people, you got to hire your right cold callers or your acquisitions or whoever it is that you have, because the data is the data. It's just what you make of it and what your systems are laid out to be. But just run your numbers. A lot of these probates make a lot of sense. When you come and say, hey, Al, we got a probate, there's only two people, great. But do your numbers line up, right? If you got a land deal for 5,000 and you're signing it out for 7 and it needs probate, those numbers don't work. If you're buying it for 5 and you're signing it out for 20, those numbers are starting to work. So you got to really run your numbers on these deals to make sure it works. If you do anything right now, because I see so many people watching, if you do anything right now, screenshot this, right? This is the probate checklist. If you take one slide from this whole presentation, this is the one. This gives you the bottom line. This helps everybody qualify a probate. How many of you qualify your deals? It's no different with probate. I love this because it really tells who the serious sellers are and the people that are just wasting time. And so if they're going to be willing to play ball and willing to get some of this stuff, let's get it. Let's go. This is the kind of stuff that you're looking for, because whether it's me in Florida or another attorney in another state, this is what people are going to need, because they need to find out the right information. They got to get the right stuff. And again, I wait until closing to get paid. I think everybody got that. Listen, if you want to connect, scan the QR code, find me on social media, Instagram, YouTube. I really appreciate you all being on. And I got to say a special thank you again to the Foreclosures Daily team for having me once again. Angela, Joe, Steve, Nancy, so many of you to thank on Foreclosures Daily. I'm always honored to be a part of this, and I'm always honored that I get to share this with so many people that come onto this panel and be here. So thanks again. I'm going to turn it over to Nancy. And Nancy, I hope you got your dose of probate.
I got it. And you know what? Okay, so this, I hope no one takes offense, but the thing with probate and pre-probate is that there's always leads, right? There's always leads, right? So we're gonna go ahead and jump into some Q&A because I think people are really so the first question we have from Neil is they his question is that total acquisition to ownership? So I'm not really sure what that was early on in the beginning. So maybe we'll come back to that. Neil, can you kind of be more specific for us there?
He might be
Um,
talking about the timing. Um,
okay, total
may,
acquisition to ownership.
Yeah. So if he's talking about the timing is from when the probate actually gets filed till we get court orders. So the timing on the acquisition part, there's always going to be a lot of the intake and the maneuvering. So you're going to have to factor some timing in on that. But it's not much more. I mean, when we're talking about timing, Nancy, we're talking about people have heard probate taking 6 to 9 months. Like acquisition on a deal shouldn't take that long. Now the closing, that's a whole other thing that's out of our control, right? And
Right.
so if the probate gets done, great. Now it's on to the title company. If title takes 6 months to close because of permits and nuisance liens and back taxes and code violation, but that's all stuff with closing. My focus is the probate, and if you can't even get the probate done, you can't even move to closing.
Exactly. So I'm going to kind of, so LaDawn, he has a couple of different questions, or her. First, he wanted to know what you're talking about. Is it specific to Florida only, or is it nationwide? But then he says, is Hawaii a good state for probate? And then there was somebody that wanted to know about California. So what you're talking about applies to Florida because each state probably has their own
Yes.
process.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every state's got their own process. It's not, if one state maybe is going to be different from another state. I have no idea if Hawaii is a good one or not. California, I've heard it takes a long time there. But at the end of the day, what you want to do, the best advice to try to find somebody in those states is tap into your local RIAs, tap into your local communities. When you go to these meetups, you really want to connect with people and find out if they've done probate deals. And then from there, you can find out, say, hey, I've been really wanting to learn this stuff, get into this stuff. Who do you use? Who do you get into? And so when you do that, you can really start leveraging the community and finding out, hey, I want to learn about this. Where do we go? And they'll tell you. Maybe in Hawaii, they'll say, don't even touch it. Don't even get into it. Or maybe they'll say it's great.
Yeah. So Chip has a question. And so he says, how would a home get sold after death but before probate filed? Is that legal? So in Florida, it can't happen, right?
Yeah, in Florida, you got to do probate first.
But in Texas, you can do, because someone mentioned something about affidavit of heirship. So in Texas, we have affidavit of heirship. So you can take the property, and as long as all the heirs agree, right? Which I have a question for you about that, Al. So are you typically working with are you working with the family or are you working with the investor? So, and my question is about conflict, when there's conflict within the family, or does the judge, because it's probate, this is what has to happen if you want to sell it?
I will say this, of the probates that we've done, I mean, look, everybody's on the same page. So I haven't seen one where there's been a conflict. Maybe before the probate happens, before the deal even gets done or signed, we've seen where maybe one or two are not on the same page, but maybe eventually they come to the table. So we haven't seen that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's really stressed to them that this needs to get done. This has to get done. The property's not selling. You're not closing without this getting done. And fortunately, for what we've seen, it's worked. People all are on the same page.
Okay, here's another one we have. They said if the deceased stated in their will that one of their children is not to inherit anything, will the probate judge honor the wishes or will it follow the family tree? So they have a will. So I guess they want to know, okay, so if it's in the will, that child's not supposed to get anything. Will the probate judge honor that?
It depends on the judge. Some of them want a formal notice being sent to the one that's being excluded out. Some of them don't. And so it really depends on the judge. We've seen a couple cases where I've seen one right now. There's three kids, two in the will get assets, the third one's excluded, and the judge wants formal notice to the one that's excluded, just to button that up because they're excluded. But we've seen cases where they don't want it. So that's going to vary county by county and judge by judge.
Yes. So Marcella has a question. So she's a realtor. What is the process using foreclosuresdaily.com? If they receive a lead, is the lead the attorney handling the probate, or is it the property address? And then I have to hunt the family down. So I'm gonna give my 2 cents on that one. So it depends. No, because on the probate leads, it has the family name of the person that deceased, and it has the personal representative, and if they already have a probate attorney. Now, if you're doing pre-probate leads, it only has the family. So there's no personal representative, there's no, and I'm guessing, and I think Joe was on this, and that's how my leads are. So what I would do is refer you back to your representative to make sure that the leads in Florida follow what the leads are in Texas. But that's how the probate and the difference between pre-probate and probate leads. Do you want to add anything to that, Al?
I'll leave that one to you guys on that because that's a whole data point that Foreclosures Daily
Yes.
touches
And it
on.
depends on where you're getting the lead at because but Foreclosures Daily, that's how it works for me. So, okay, what we're going to do, let's see. Okay, Michael said, can you go back to your comment about real estate transactions not happening in probate? I think you were saying it didn't happen because you need all heirs' signature, but I couldn't follow. So go back to your comment about real estate transactions not happening in probate. I think you were saying it didn't happen because you need all heirs' signature, but I couldn't follow. So you did say that you had, in order, everybody has to sign the contract, right? And the addendums.
Yeah, so I'm not sure the first part of the question, but what I will say it's like, let's say you find a house in Orlando, mom owned the property, four kids ever, no will, no surviving spouse. Because it's the homestead property, all four kids are going to have to sign. Everybody's going to have to be in agreement to get the thing done, or you got a completely different situation on your hands. So when I tell people, like I have one case right now where the investor only had one signature and there's two other heirs. And so I said, okay, well, what about the other two? Because if the probate gets done, title's going to go to three of them. And then when you go to the closing table, if the two of them don't want to sign, what are you going to do? And so they said, okay. And then they went back to the table. They got all three, and now everything's moving forward. So
Yes.
that works.
Okay. Matt asked, are there states we should avoid? I've heard California has much red tape. Do you have anything to say about any states they seems like if you just learn the process that you just have to know what the process is.
Yeah, and I don't know California. I've just heard California is like it could take a long time there. I've heard rumors of 12 months, 14 months, and
I mean,
uh
it takes like years just to evict a tenant, so you know what I mean?
yes.
So probably not, Texas, Florida, more friendly states. So, all right. So, Al, I'm gonna take the screen back, or if you would stop sharing. There we go. There we go. And I'm gonna share again, and I'm gonna finish my part of the presentation, and then we'll go back, and if we have more questions, we'll address them. How does that sound? So thank you. I learned a lot there too. So, and I have a question later for estate taxes. So hold that thought. All right. So let's get back to what you get when you become a client of Foreclosures Daily. You just don't get leads. You get a team, as Al said, they have a team of people that will assist you in terms of marketing. They have a 6-step mailing campaign, the 6 touch campaign, phone scripts, an email to send to the attorney if you have the attorney's name. So Al, I guess some people probably email you, right? No? Yes, maybe. Do
Oh,
you ever have investors call you saying, do you have properties that they want to buy?
no, because a lot of people know when we're working on a probate, it's already tied up with somebody.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Because it is about relationships. So, and then we talked about the postcards and letters, the probate book that's mailed directly to you. And you do get a link to receive reduced mail rates. Because I can tell you from my marketing, the most expensive part is the first class postage. You get webinar training. And of course, Foreclosures Daily has these webinars every month. So you have different speakers, and one of the questions, I'll come back to that, but it had to do with numbers. So I'm coming back to you on that. Now, one of the things that with Foreclosures Daily, the more you buy, the more you save. So I know for me, I do a lot of the counties here in Texas because I might wholesale, I might do Airbnb, I might do owner finance. I have a lot of different things I can do, but I want to be able to have a broad reach. So if I buy one county, I'm going to spend like $600 for 12 weeks, and I can add another county on at half price. And then you can go 26 weeks, but I really want to point you to, if you spend the 1750 for 52 weeks, it's really pennies on the dollars. It's like $646. I mean, you think about that, 1750. I'm not a math whiz. I could do that. I should do that. What is that every week? And then each county is 50% add-on. So you really do. And then once you, like anything, you got to give it time to go. So when I start mailing, I'm just going to tell everybody, you're probably going to send out about maybe 3 to 4 weeks of postcards, letters, whatever, and then the phone is going to start ringing. So it just depends on what your process is for getting the marketing out. And then for foreclosures in Florida, you can pay $479 for 3 months, or you can pay $799 for 6 months. And again, you can see the more you buy, the more you save. And then I got to move my little share screen thing. And then they have a la carte, such as absentee owners, free and clear, the tax slates, and those are $1,000 for every 500. But you should check with your representative with foreclosuresdaily.com because to make sure maybe there's another sale going on, because I know they had a big end of the year sale, and then they have I don't know, maybe they have President's Day sale coming up. What's the next? I don't think they do anything for St. Patrick's Day, but you never know. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight and taking a little bit of your time to learn about probates with Al and how he crushes it. And basically he told you how you can crush it. I know for me, those numbers are real. Like and you can do land, you can do multifamily, you can do single family. So foreclosuresdaily.com, you can always contact me. And the next one, I guess I didn't change this one, but the next one is in March. This is what we're doing today. And then you can always follow me at on Instagram at Nancy Wallace-Laabs, or Instagram, YouTube. And I connected with you, Al. So we're going to go back to, we got a lot more questions. So we're going to go back to them now. You got everybody. This is exciting. Oh, Paula says thank you. Who does Foreclosures Daily use for direct mail? You know what? They have a couple different companies. So there's Go Big Printing. There's marketing by hand. So just contact your person and they will set you up and you can talk to any of those companies. So let's see. Okay, so Chip has this question. I don't think we said this. He said, but I have seen houses sold or on the market in Florida before probate filed, which is why I started buying pre-probates, but I'm wondering how. So I guess his question is, how can people buy houses if it's pre? If it
You
didn't go through, it
You,
can't.
you can't. It's going to have to go through probate. What people probably do, and it's possible, is that they're able to list it and market it, but they're looking for a buyer. And so once they go under contract, they're going to submit that contract to the title company, and the title company is going to get a report and it's going to call for probate.
Yeah.
So
Now,
that's not getting around it.
do you think this would ever happen? So I know this has happened to me a couple times. So the family, it's pre-probate. And by the time I've contacted them, the person's already, passed away, or the family knew that they were ill, right? So they went ahead and they took care of the property and sold it. And it might have just been like a week or two, you know what I mean? So there could have been a little bit of crossover or whatnot. Or like you said, they'll already have it listed, even though it's on the lead list, so to speak. So because they know ahead of time. Um, okay. Now, Bruce, I just want to say this. He's run into a problem that he refers them to a probate attorney. Okay, so first you need to refer them to Al, and it takes months to complete. Then when I try to follow up with the attorney, the sellers to see where they are at in probate process, the sellers are under contract with another wholesaler. So Al, he just needs to refer them to you, right?
If there's a probate and they're not already with an attorney and there's something that needs to be done, that's where we can definitely take a look at what's going on.
Okay. So this is going to be our last. I think I'm just going to go. What document, if I called a homeowner? Okay, so Justin's saying, what document, if I call a homeowner that has a probate open, can they ask their attorney to file to sell the property?
Well, it depends on what state and it depends on if it's Florida or not, right? And so, really, what needs to happen is there needs to be a conversation with the heir and the attorney on what's needed to move the probate along. And sometimes the heirs can say, "Yeah, yeah, sure, talk to the attorney about it," but you need to have that communication because it's so hard to say what that is. Sometimes in Florida, it's a homestead order, or sometimes it's an order authorizing sale. I think it's going to depend on the facts. Without knowing what it is, I can't tell
It's
what that order is going to be.
it's always a depends is always a good answer. So,
And I
okay,
and I
now
said it without saying it.
Marisol, she says, is the probate process the same for the whole state or does it vary county by county? And we are specifically talking about Florida because that keeps coming up. So, but
Ye- Yeah, so what changes county by county are form requirements. Some counties have a bit more stringent requirements on what's needed, the way that they want things done. So yeah, Florida's got its own system, and in each county, they're gonna have different nuances on what they want. Which is what makes us so different as a law firm because we've been able to keep track of these nuances that these counties want. And it's a lot to keep a track of because there's tons of different things going on.
yes. Okay, I'm gonna answer this because Denise says, how do we find who the contact person is for pre-probate? So Denise, it depends, but if you're getting your list from foreclosuresdaily.com, the person that it'll have the family name on there. So it will have the contact. And now when I say contact, I mean the property address. And then I think with I had one question, then we're gonna come back to the number. So I was gonna ask you about estate taxes. So is that a thing in Florida?
I'll say this, Nancy, I'm not a CPA. I can't answer those kind of questions.
Okay, then
I'm
we're just
not the
gonna,
licensed professional.
and it depends, right?
Get with the CPA about that.
Okay, all right. So I think the last, someone asked, I can't find it. Let me see. How do we find, how did, they wanted to know about the numbers. You said run your numbers. So when you're talking about the numbers, because what I heard, and I want to clarify, so the numbers are, is this a good deal? Like, is it going to make a good rental? Is it going to be, a good flip? But if you're going to wholesale it, because there is a cost to the probate process. So they have to kind of know how much, and I'm sure that that cost is dependent on how long and all the work and how many errors and how many paperwork and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm not the investor on the deal. So if you're wholesaling it and you need to account for what you're assigning it for and maybe how many probates are involved. If we got a deal and we do an analysis and there ends up being 8 probates, and your spread on it is $20,000, that's not going to cut it. So you're running your numbers on the deal itself. If you have $100,000 room, well, maybe it's
Yeah.
worth the deal. Or if you're taking it down and buying it as a rental, and you find out it needs 5 probates, do those numbers work? And I think everybody gets a high from the contract and from the fact that they reached
Yes.
out. But and then they go crazy over the probate, but then they forget that, wait a second, I got to pay the title company, the attorney, I got to go through all of this. And What am I at the end? Oh, wait. So I think when I say run the numbers, it's for everybody to realize, is this going to be a good deal to jump in knowing that probate is involved?
Yes, and I agree 100% with that because people get excited, especially if it's their first deal. But you just have to remember it's a process. So, well, I'm going to say thank you so much for your time tonight. If you all have any questions we didn't answer, we dropped Al's email in the chat there. And you can always connect with him on social because I know I did. And I signed up for those because you have a lot. I saw you have a lot of podcasts, a lot of videos out there.
Yes.
So, but thanks so much. I really appreciated talking with you tonight, and keep plugging and keep investing.
Thank you, Nancy. Really appreciate you. And thank you, everybody, for being on tonight.
All right, see y'all. And then what do I want to say? The replay will be available in the next day or two. So you will all get an email link for that. So thanks again, Al. Take care.
Take care, everybody. Thank you, Nancy.